Okay, but this movie? Welcome back, listeners.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. Wait, was that for me or for them?
Why can't it be both? Why do we get to pick sides?
I know, ¿por qué no los dos? So we are now in we've been in the month of October, but we're now in our Halloween theme. Ooh,
Spooky,
spooky.
spooky.
Oh my gosh, I'm so scared. Um, so this week I had the movie Dead Silence. Notice I gave
Get
some Dead
it? Did you
Silence.
get it?
Yeah,
See how I didn't talk at all?
I'm glad you got it. I thought you'd be like, did something go wrong? I'm here for it. But this gem came out in 2007, and I say it's a gem because it goes the extra mile. I agree with this one article that I saw online that it was way ahead of its time. So this was directed by James Wan, and he was already pretty, I don't know, famous by this point, but he already had a reputation because he directed the first Saw movie.
The original Saw?
Yeah, the original Saw.
Yes.
You saw
That's
it?
a good one. I did, in fact, saws it.
Did you see Jigsaw in Dead Silence? Did you catch that?
No, I did not see What? Is
Yeah,
he one of the dolls?
Yeah, he is actually. So for the listeners out there, James Wan directed Saw and then later directed Dead Silence. Saw was in 2004, so there's a couple years in between. But the puppet for Jigsaw shows up. Also, he wrote the writer from Saw, Lee, I think, Leigh. I don't know how to pronounce that. Maybe Lay.
I think it's Lay.
Yeah, that person. They wrote Dead Silence and did Dead Silence with James Wan, and they also did Saw. So it's like similar. But anyways, little trivia for you there. So Jigsaw shows up towards the end of Dead Silence when they're in the theater and they're in like the room where all the puppets are. It pans over from like Jamie to like the puppet with the really long tongue. And if you look on one of the pillars, it has like Jigsaw like leaning against it, like obviously
What?
not animated.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Okay,
nice little
I was
Easter
getting like
egg.
strong Annabelle vibes from all the dolls that were in here.
Did he direct Annabelle later?
That's what I was
Because
thinking.
he did the Conjuring.
Yes, I know that, and then he also did the Insidious franchise too. I'm like, this dude is just like in the horror genre, hardcore. Go him. But I don't know because I think Annabelle shows up in the Conjuring franchise anyways, right? I think it's in the first movie.
So I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I guess he just has like an obsession with dolls coming to life. Like, James Wan, are you okay? Like, do you want to come onto the podcast and talk to us about it? But let us know. Let us know.
The DM, slide into my
Please
DMs.
DM us in my DMs. Oh.
in my DMs.
I've never heard it referred to as that, but slide in. But yeah, so that was a little Easter egg. I want to mention that. But yes, this movie came out 2007. It stars Ryan Quanten, who many of you may know from True Blood.
Never seen it.
Swoon. Oh, wow. Okay. Cool.
Apparently, I'm learning through this podcast that I actually haven't seen anything.
I know. I'm like, you were like my movie friend. Like, what is this? Well, that is a TV show. I'll call you some slack.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's what I'm here for. But yeah, so he did this in 2007 and True Blood started in 2008. So this was before his career got really big. So it was his debut film out here, maybe. I don't know. But he has an American accent in this, not a Southern one like in True Blood. But the film, I really like the style. It opens up, the character's name is Jamie Ashen, and he's with his wife, Lisa. Aww. And, they're just like, oh, I don't want to cook. Or like, oh, he's doing the plumbing and he like sucks at it. He can't fix it. And they get this mysterious package, knock, knock on the door. Who could it be? And it's like a box.
It's Billy.
It's Billy. Hi. It's a box that says his name, doesn't say where it's from. And they open it and it's the dummy. Hey, be nice. Get it? Because I called him a dummy. Okay. Anyways,
okay, that one's out of 4.
On.
You're getting better, I think, each week.
Okay, I'll take it. So there's a ventriloquist dummy inside of the package, and he's just like really creepy. And its head falls over and his mouth opens. Do you remember that where he's like, ah, and he's just kind of creepy and stuff. And then like Lisa's like, oh my gosh, do you remember that little rhyme from when we were kids? Do you remember it?
Don't know.
No, beware the stare. I'll recite it for you.
Okay,
Beware the
please.
stare of Mary Shaw. She had no children, only dolls. If you see her in your dreams, be sure to never ever scream.
Or what happens?
Well,
Tell
actually,
me.
that's funny you asked that. In the alternate version that was in the deleted scenes, it's beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She had no children, only dolls. If you ever see her in your dreams, be sure to never scream, or she'll rip your tongue out at the seam.
See, that I like that, but I can also see why they cut it. It's like unnecessary information. You can just kind of guess what happens
It's a
from
little
context.
scarier not knowing what she's gonna do.
Yeah, that's true. But also, it's just like the air of mystery that I'm just like, what's the worst that's gonna happen, you
Well,
know?
what you gonna do, Mary Shaw? I heard you die. What you gonna do?
Well,
I know
what you
it.
gonna do?
Like Freddy's coming for you. Even like Freddy Krueger doesn't tell you. Like 1, 2, Freddy's. No, he tells you 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better shut your door. 5, 6,
Pick up sticks.
pick up sticks. 8, something,
uh,
something. I know 7, 8. Stay awake.
See
Yeah, I
the
don't
stay
remember.
awake part right there. That's the alludes to is gonna be dreams.
Yeah,
Uh,
but anyways, so this
that
one,
movie.
but this one also is kind of annoying because in the rhyme it tells you like if you see her in your dreams, but like you're seeing her in reality. So there are a couple discrepancies in the film. Uh, but we'll look past that. But anyways, so Ryan Quanten, the beautiful Ryan Quanten, his character goes out to get takeout, and this is where we get our first body. Yay! So I really like how they do the like how they just determined to do the death scenes like with the like all these sounds going on. So like for this particular death scene, it had like the teapot going off, there was music playing, there was the clock ticking, and there's all these just background sounds. And whenever like they're about to strike, plot twist, everybody, it's Mary Shaw. She's the one killing everybody. And we'll get into who she is.
What?
I know the listeners don't know who she is. We'll get into it. Don't worry. But I like how the sound just starts to go down. It doesn't automatically go quiet, like it just goes to that slow
Yeah.
motion sound, like the.
Yeah. I like how it highlights each thing and then it silences it out.
Yes, and something I noted is only the only sounds you do hear are the victim and
Yeah.
whatever things they interact with. So if they take a step, you'll hear their footfall and their footsteps. And if they hit something, like that was something I noticed later with Henry Walker at the funeral home, is like anything they interact with still makes sound,
Yeah.
which was an interesting choice for me. I don't understand it fully, but I thought that was interesting. I think it makes it a little scarier still having some sounds and those sounds being so much louder compared to how quiet it is.
Yeah, I think that's interesting too because I'm just like, if they can interact and that makes sounds, I think that kind of defeats the purpose too. But does that mean it's an alternate reality type of thing then?
And that kind of makes me wonder, but I mean, like, I'm not really sure.
Because that would play into the dream sequence thing.
Because that was like one of the only oversights really, is that the poem mentions that like if you see her in your dreams but you never see her in your dreams, you, like I said, you only see her in reality. So I'm actually not sure, and when I did my research, nothing of that sort came up.
Well, it's just going to
So
be a mystery for us all.
it's whatever. Mary Shaw, what is the answer? Tell us now.
She's busy.
Yeah, dead silent there. Oh wait, she can't talk.
Exactly. Well, I don't know. That tongue of hers, though, perfection.
True. Yeah.
Also, real quick, before we get off of the topic, either we already are off of it, is the
What?
wife. She reminded me so much of Rosemary's Baby,
Oh, Mia
like her
Farrow.
style. Yeah, like her
I think is
style.
that her name? Yeah, she really did, with the really short, like the pixie cut.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I totally see that. I wonder if they
yeah.
were doing that on purpose or if that was just the look she had at the time.
She just happened to show up with short hair. They're just like, yeah, this works.
Yeah, but no, even like, and you find out in the scene that she is pregnant because she was like playing in the mirror, putting the pillow under her belly.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Um,
Yes.
It was funny when we were watching that. My husband was like, "Why is she just checking herself out?" And I'm like, "It's alluding that she's pregnant." And he's like, "Oh, like geez." But then you find out in the end, or you're kind of set up to think that the ventriloquist dummy kills her. So he just slaughters the poor woman, and because it all happened because she screamed. Had she not screamed, I think she would have lived. But like when you get scared and you scream, then your tongue gets cut out. So then it pans to like Ryan Quanten coming home, and he has the rose, he has the takeout food, it's been raining, he's all wet, and he comes inside and the tea kettle is like super loud. And I really like this because you just came, like you as the viewer are just coming from a super quiet scene. She just screams all of a sudden. And then it cuts to him, like, the sound of the rain is really calming. He's, coming up the steps. You hear that, all these sounds that are like not scary. And then it goes to the room and it's just like the stereo's blasting, the freaking tea kettle's going and nothing else. And then he hears her voice, like he turns it off. He's like, "Hey babe." And she's like, "Over here," or something like that. Ugh. But you as the viewer know, like, I don't think she's really able to talk right now. What the hey, And I really like that. It reminded me a lot of Insidious, which was also directed by James Wan, in terms of the sound. Because something I really liked about Insidious is the use of music, but also the use of silence. I think it's like when you, especially in horror, I don't know if you've ever done this, but like when you watch a horror movie and turn off the sound, it's suddenly not scary anymore. Or like, unless if it's a really bad one, it's not scary. Mm-hmm. But like a big part of it, yeah, the quiet place, that one's a really important thing for sound. That one can still be scary. But it's the music you play is just as important as when you choose to not play any sound. And that's something that I feel like he took from this movie and used that in Insidious, because if you notice, the scariest parts are when it's really quiet and then that violin that plays throughout. I think it's a violin. I'm really bad at placing instruments, but there's that musical score that plays and it like really riles you up all of a sudden. You're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize how scared I was until like I realized it," and I feel like you could see elements of what he did in Insidious here in Dead Silence, which I really like.
Yes. Actually, did you notice? Okay, so in Insidious, this is the one thing that I've always stuck with me with Insidious was there's a part where Rose Byrne's character is walking through the house and it kind of has like a quick flash of like the kid that you don't see.
And he's like hiding behind walls and stuff.
Yeah, and then so I noticed there was something like that in this movie too when what is it, the mortician guy, he's like going through that little crawl space, and then there's like a hand, like Mary Shaw's hand is on one of the posts, and I'm just like, there it is. You gotta really look though. Yes,
and you have to. There's so much like I don't want to say foreshadowing, but it is a lot of foreshadowing throughout the movie, and I can't think of specific instances. But while you're watching it, and then you see it, if you've seen it multiple times, it's easier to notice. Right. But there are a lot of moments like that. Like if you pay attention, her fingers are wrapped around the wood the whole time, and it's not till later when she gets closer that you see them again. But I like this movie a lot. But after the wife is killed, we get Donnie Wahlberg introduced. Yay! The other Wahlberg.
There's another one?
Just Marky Mark,
Marky Mark.
Just him, he's cool. And he just plays like stereotypical like cop in movies. He even has a donut. Like he's like just always shaving himself. He always has like hair growing, like, always
I didn't get that part. I thought it was unnecessary.
Well, he was just kind of playing a character, a trope. And I think that's something I noticed in this movie is that he really liked to do that. Like he also, I feel like Ryan Quanten's character was just really like, it was stereotypical. He dropped the rose. He had the takeout. He was like heartbroken. And they find she's pregnant. And so like, it was a very stereotypical murder kind of thing. How, do you see what I mean? And so I feel like they kind of played into that with him. But this eventually leads them to Ravens Fair, which is the town where both the husband and wife are from, Ryan Quanten and Lisa. the chick that looks like Rosemary's Baby. I can't
The wife.
remember the actress's name, the wife. So he takes to bury her there, which I also thought was weird at the funeral. Like, none of her family was there.
Yeah.
Like, literally just him with his stepmom. And his stepmom is interesting. So yeah, he goes back to his old home and he goes back to his dad's house, and his dad's like stupid rich, right? Like, he has like a really nice house. Like, he has multiple stories. Like, that's my sign of like you're really rich. Like, you're so rich you couldn't just have one level of home. You have two, you know?
Yeah, and
And
it's
so
that fancy style, like the old rich type too. Like
yeah.
you know that he's had money his whole life.
Yeah, like they've been having money. And so you're introduced to him and Ella, I think the stepmom's name is, right?
Sure.
Sure. Very, very young, very pretty. He's like, "Oh, nice to meet you." And she's like, "Haha, I'm your stepmom." And he's like, "Yeah, great." But when he interacts with his dad, you could just tell, like, things have never been great, ever. And they're not now. And, like, it just seems like they kind of dismiss super quickly that, like, his wife just died. Like, I don't know, like, but that was also
Yeah.
intentional because, like, that's just the dad. Um, but did you, for the listener out there, like something you need to pay attention to, and maybe you picked up on this. I don't know if you did. I didn't pick up the first time, but just how close the wife always is to the father. How close Ella is to Jamie's dad.
I noted kind of. I mean, like because she's able to walk around. Like there's scenes with just her. There's
Yeah.
not scenes with just the dad. I kind of noticed that. I didn't think anything of it though, because I'm like, he is in a wheelchair. You just go over there and just be like, oh, okay, I gotta help him and be a good wife.
Yeah, like she was a very caretaker role. But
Yeah.
then, like, you find out in the end, plot twist, she was definitely taking care of him, because he was a puppet the whole time. He was a dummy. But more importantly, I should just get to, like, the real meat of what it is. So everyone comes to find out, and by everyone I mean Jamie, the main character. He goes to the funeral home and he brings up Mary Shaw, and he's just like, no, 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 no. The funeral home director, Henry, is like, no, we don't talk about her anymore. Like, do you not know? And he's like, what? And like, she had been associated with like all the madness in town. Like, when she had her shows in her heyday in the 30s, there was the little boy that was like, you're faking it. And she was like, what? And all of a sudden that little boy went missing. We come to find out later she turned him into a puppet, and that little boy was his great uncle.
She was a hardcore player hater. Well, the
Yeah.
little boy was a player hater, but man,
Yeah.
like she could not take criticism.
No. And she's the only ventriloquist in town. Like, what are you going to do if someone discredits you? But, you know.
But it's a little kid, I'm like, everyone else is
Yeah.
laughing, having a good time, and then she's like, oh my god, this child's just a brat, and she did not like that.
But this is a horror movie. She knew the assignment. She knew what she had to do.
Billy knew the assignment.
Yeah, Billy knew the assignment too. So Billy was the one who she was doing the show with, the puppet that ended up at Jamie's house. What connection? And the boy that was killed by her was related to Jamie? What? That's weird.
Was Billy related to the Goosebumps
I
ventriloquist
thought
doll?
so. I thought it was, but his name is Slappy. I
They
think
look
it
the
might
same.
have been like an homage.
Yeah,
Because
they
there
could-
were
they're
other,
similar.
I don't remember the names, but there were puppets that were references to famous ventriloquists. Like, they made replicas of their dummies, which is kind of
that's
cool.
interesting.
Yeah. But where was I going? Oh, yeah. So then the town mob goes after and kills Mary Shaw and cuts her tongue out. And so when you find that out, like, as a viewer, you start to make the connection, like, wait, his wife's tongue was cut out and her tongue was cut out. Could it be the ghost of Mary Shaw? But this is like when this fact is found out, that's when shit hits the fan. And that's when, like, more and more deaths just start to occur, like, just people around it. So, like, the funeral home guy, I think, is the first one, right? In the town. Wait, that's actually not that many.
I mean, if you want to get technical, it was the dad.
It was the dad, yeah. So, I mean, the dad he was already a puppet by this point.
That's what I'm saying. He was technically the first one.
Yeah, so he was technically the first one. Well, technically Ella is, because you find out she's technically a puppet.
Yeah,
She's the
but I
perfect
didn't get that
doll.
either.
In the deleted scenes, there is more information that she is the perfect doll. It's more obvious with those scenes because it alludes to it when it shows when he flips over the paper that says how to make the perfect doll, and it has her
Right.
face. It kind of looks like her, but a little different. You know, it's enough that you're like, oh, that's not her. But in the deleted scenes, it goes more into the book, and so you can see more of how it works, and it's pretty much just Mary Shaw taking over her.
Okay, so was she a real person is what I don't get.
At one point, but not in the movie.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but that's based off of the deleted scenes. So I don't know if that necessarily is for the produced full movie. You know what I mean? But that's
Right.
how I am understanding it, and I want our listeners to take it that way too.
Okay,
Um,
I can get that. Like I can kind of get that
yeah,
from the storyline and everything, but also there was at one point she said that like in order to get the perfect doll you need to have existing parts,
yeah.
and then I'm
So
assuming
she
because
was a
it's
real
part.
person.
Yeah, but I'm assuming like because it's parts that is coming from different sources. It's not just one source.
I think that was just a miswrite because like even the original, so the kid that she originally killed that she turned into her puppet, that was her first doll. So I think like she says different parts, but you also have to consider like the glass eyeballs that go into it, and like that's different parts. So I'm wondering if it was a mistake on words, semantics, or if that's what they meant by it, by both doll parts and human parts.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't end up looking like a person anymore either, so that didn't make any sense.
Well,
And
she figured it
plus,
out. That's the whole point. Is she figured it out?
okay, so she is living in the wife,
Yes,
correct? Mary Shaw's living in the wife.
that's my understanding based on the deleted scene that Mary Shaw is in her because that's at one point she did all the voices. And remember, she was able to do dead people's voice. She was able to do Henry's voice in the telephone. Remember when it did that flashback where
Yeah,
he thought he was talking to him, and it's just her, and you see her throat moving.
yeah.
So that's Mary Shaw doing it. But Mary Shaw had killed Ella.
Right.
Is kind of the premise, and then so she's playing Mary Shaw is playing Ella in Ella's body, the perfect doll.
Yes. So is what makes her perfect is the fact that you can't tell that it's a doll at all?
Yeah,
Because I mean the dad had an open back and Ella didn't. As far as we
yeah,
know, I never showed anything. Did
yeah.
it?
I don't remember seeing it. Yeah, because she's turned around and you see all of her, and like
Yeah.
you look at the if you look closely at the sketches in the book, you see like in the side drawing, like the profiles, like there's organs inside. So she's alluding to the fact that like everything is the same.
That's interesting. I wonder how she got into all of that. Well, I mean, the whole point was that she was living in the dolls, and that's why her spirit's still around. And then so that's
Yeah,
why they ended up destroying all of the dolls. But then there was like that last one that was the perfect one, the
yeah.
person.
So like until you killed that doll, like we're all screwed, and Mary
So
Shaw
do
could come
you
after any of us.
that leads to my next point? Does she? Okay, first of all, obviously she's like some sort of spirit, like some demonic spirit or something. Or like was she practicing witchcraft or something? Like how could she end up living in these dolls and live in this person?
I think, as someone who's into the paranormal, I think this like could fall into the realm. Like she had such a violent death that like her spirit like is just super attached to the earth and to like it clung on to something.
Okay, yeah, I will go with that because I also believe in the paranormal.
Yeah,
I wish they went into it a little bit more though. Of like, is she like, does she practice witchcraft or something?
the deleted scenes don't allude to that at all. So my understanding is no. But I wonder if like just okay, but you got to consider okay. So the beginning of the movie, it said like ventriloquists were believed to have been like how do they word it like voices for spirits, right? Like they considered their centered was considered to be like a connection to the other side. So I'm wondering if her just being a ventriloquist was what lended to her being able to like do this paranormal thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay,
Because
that makes sense.
it did say that in the beginning, like when it was saying like ventre and quit and it comes from these words Latin roots meaning to speak and like you know what I mean? And then it said
Yeah.
ventriloquist were yeah. So I'm wondering if it's kind of basing all of this premise off of that belief.
Okay, probably. I mean, like, why else would they bring that up?
Yeah. But I think, I'm ready to lay silent on this movie and take a train to another one.
Hey besties, it's Alex here.
Hey.
I also want to talk about your segue was super good because my movie is Train to Busan, if you guys didn't guess. I know we announced it last week, but I don't care. Okay.
Dang. Who hurt you?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Anyways, so Train to Busan is a South Korean movie that came out in 2016. Has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. I have deep regrets about choosing this movie because I'm going to butcher all the names, so I apologize in advance. It originally aired in the Cannes Film Festival, the midnight thing that they have, which I guess is for like scary movies.
Oh,
and it was only like
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know either, but
I
apparently
haven't been invited.
Is. Huh. Me either. I don't know why. I feel like we're super popular.
I know.
But anyways, that came out. It aired like a couple months before it actually came out in theaters, and is directed by here we go, Yeon Sang-ho. Okay, this is his first live action movie. Actually, before that he was doing animated films, and what goes with that is that there is an animated prequel to this movie that came out, I think 2 or 3 months after the actual movie did.
Was it Car to Busan? Didn't.
No. Oh, crap. Of course you asked me and I didn't write it down.
Sorry. We'll just call it Car. It's Car to Busan. I remember. It is that, right? Right?
Sure, yeah. So it's something like that. Oh, wait. No, it's Seoul Station. Seoul.
Oh, that's way better.
Yeah, Seoul Station. So it's just a different stop on the train.
Okay. I respect that.
That's a prequel. And I found out that there is a sequel to this movie. It's not technically a sequel. It's like a standalone one, but it's in the same universe. It's called Peninsula, and it's just about these military guys that's 4 years after the initial outbreak, so that's what that movie is about. But now I'm interested in watching it. But anyways, the star of this film is Gong Yoo, which we all know and love from the ever popular Squid Game. He was the police officer in that. There's so many popular Korean actors in this one. The guy, the bigger, burlier guy that has the wife and everything. His name is
the one
Don
in the blue.
Lee. Yeah, the one in the blue. His name's Don Lee, and he was just in Marvel's Eternals. Eternals? The Eternals? Internals?
Oh,
he plays Gilgamesh or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't even know if he's like the love interest of Angelina Jolie or if they just have like a really deep friendship or something like that. That's a different movie. We'll
explore that in another episode. Yeah.
Anyways, it was him and the baseball guy. I think it was baseball. The baseball guy. He is the main guy from Parasite.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the other girl, the main pregnant girl, she is in a bunch of. She's like pretty big in the Korean film industry. And her and Gong Yoo actually worked together on another big film called Silenced that came out a few years before, so they've known each other. And another fun fact is that the bigger guy, the Don Lee guy, and Gong Yoo, Don Lee was Gong Yoo's personal trainer in real life.
Oh, that's
so
interesting.
they've known each other for a long time. But anyways, I didn't even talk about what the heck this movie is. Okay, so it's Train to Busan. It's supposed to be like the start of a zombie apocalypse. Well, they claim it as a virus, and the main guy, Gong Yoo, his character is a fund manager, so they call him like a bloodsucker, like he doesn't really care about anyone, and he has a daughter, and the daughter, he doesn't even like really know his daughter. The daughter's just like, I want to hang out with my dad, but he's just too busy working to actually like pay attention to her necessarily. Like he loves her, but he's just never there. And so
gets her the weed twice.
Yeah, he
Oh,
gives her
that
the wink
killed
twice.
me.
Yeah, it was sad. That this movie is really, really, really good for a zombie movie in particular. It has, I think, it's like a perfect blend of like action, but like the emotional aspect of it is insane. You know, you don't really get that in zombie
Yeah.
movies. You
Well,
know, you can,
it gives you so much humanity to contrast with the zombie behavior, and that's
yeah,
what I really liked.
yeah. It was very, very, very well done. But the daughter wants to go to her mom's house because she's over her dad just not paying attention to her. She's like, I'd rather be with my mom. And she's like, I'm going to take the train by myself. And the dad's like, no, you're not taking the train by yourself. You're too small. And she's like, oh, I want to go for my birthday, which is like the following day after all this conversation happens. And he's like, I'll just go with you. And so that's how they end up on the train. And then while they're on the train, there's like all these there's like a passenger that sneaks on, and it's a girl that's got bitten by an infected person. No one notices that she's on there, and she turns after a while. Which, by the way, the actor who did that, the actress, oh my god, she was crazy with like the way she
Yeah.
was moving and everything. As like the first zombie and like the first sight that we see of a zombie, like she set the bar really high for the rest of the
Yeah.
zombies as far as movement goes, and it was just so good. But anyways, when she turns, she bites another person that's trying to help her, and everyone's just like, what's happening? They end up walking through this one train car, and everyone's just like, is she okay? Like, why is this person on this other person?
Yeah.
And they see that the original infected person like rips the throat out of the person that she's on, and everyone's like, oh my god, something real's happening here, right? And then you see the person who got their throat ripped out come back to life too. And so
Mm-hmm.
now they're attacking this whole train car full of people, and it kind of just spreads out through the train, and then people
So
start to notice
fast.
more and more. Yeah, people start to notice more and more too, so they're all kind of rushing towards like the front of the train, I think, or like the back of the train. They're one end of the train. When that happens, they we get to like the main person and like his daughter, and they kind of like cut off the rest of the train, which the guy, there's like the main burly guy and his pregnant wife, they were like kind of stuck in the back with the zombies, and then our main guy like cuts them off just to kind of show how his character is. You know, he's just like, you guys kind of. He's like,
You
no,
took
it's
too
all about us.
long.
Yeah, it's all about us. Like, fuck you guys. You know, like obviously they're close enough to make it before the zombies do, but he's just like, no, we're not risking it here. And then so once they make it over, they're just like, wow, what an ass. You know, the burly guy's like, apologize to me. He's like, why would I? You know, I didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. And then, so what ends up happening is that the wife notices that the zombies don't really notice them until they're like in their presence. Like they don't react. Like the zombies don't react until like they actually see someone or hear someone or something like that. And so they just like cut off that the other trains with the zombies in it by putting some newspaper up. So that saves them. It gives them some time, and then we start to get all these other elements of just like, well, we're gonna stop at this next train station, and there's like news feeds coming everywhere. Everyone's looking on their phone and all of these things, and it's just like virus, outbreak, this. It's all over the place. It's nationwide. It's not just on this train. As they're coming to realize, so they're like, okay, we're gonna stop at this next station, and then like the conductor goes on the thing again, and it's just like, well, we can't stop at this train station because there's stuff going on there. And as they're passing through that train station, you can see all these people trying to get on the train, and then they get attacked immediately, and everyone's just like, oh god, this shit's real, it's everywhere,
Oh,
it's insane. And then the main guy gets a call from his mother, which, by
that
the
was
way,
rough, dude.
it was like you can tell that he's like slowly realizing that she's not good, that she is infected or something. He's like, why is it so loud? She's just like, oh, the mom's a bitch. Which I was like, so uncalled for. She just really liked the granddaughter, and then she's like, nah, the mom's a bitch. We never get
I
introduced to the wife at all.
Well, I feel like I was wondering about that because it was such an off comment. I wonder if it was because she was just about to transition.
Oh yeah, that would make sense too.
Yeah, because then
Everyone
she
was.
started going after that.
Yeah,
So,
like everyone's mind kind of went towards the end there.
yeah, because there was a very aggressive comment, and that's what they're very aggressive, and she's not. So I wondered. I thought that too. I was like, dang, like okay, like I mean, however you want to feel.
That
But
makes me feel better.
Good. But I feel like that moment was also crucial for him because like him being connected to his mom, he was like, oh, now I really understand why my daughter like wants to be with her mom. Like I feel like that was also important for his humanity,
Yeah, yeah.
unfortunately, to go through that.
Yeah, he had a lot of. That's another thing that happened in this movie too. He had a lot of character development. You
Yeah.
can see he starts the movie one way and ends the movie a different way, and I think that's huge. And like his acting, like all of the, he got nominated at the Asian Film Awards for Best Actor. The Don Lee guy got nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Mm.
There was a whole bunch of other things that got nominated as well. Editor, visual effects, costume design. None of the they didn't win any, which is surprising to me. At the Asian Film Festival specifically, or the Asian Film Awards specifically, they won at
Mm.
other types of things, but not at that one,
Mm.
which I found interesting because it kind of broke some records. It was the biggest movie to come out in 2016 in Korea, in
Oh
South Korea.
wow.
I'm not sure if it was like the biggest, but it definitely broke the record. Like the first one of the year to break records. Like the most people went. It had like 1.1 million moviegoers, and then it kind of went over into some other countries too. And the other countries had like dubbed versions of it, and that was kind of like the first time that this one particular country had like a whole bunch of different dubbed versions and not just the subtitles. It was just a whole bunch of different languages, which I think is interesting because you don't really see that in actual movie theaters having dubbed versions of anything. It's very rare. Maybe that's just an American thing. I'm not sure because I feel like we don't
Hmm.
really see any. Like we see subtitles, we see
Yeah.
movies in other languages, but we don't see a lot of dubbed things, and especially
No.
different types of dub things. Like there's English, there's Spanish. Like America's diverse with what we have here, and so like for it to be released, all those different versions at the same time in the movie theater is very rare. And
Yeah,
so
that is really fascinating.
apparently going into the American thing is that they're doing an American version of this movie, which kind of upsets me because I don't know why Hollywood is so crap and they just can't think of anything anymore. They're just like, let's redo a movie that came out 4 years ago or five or six already. That's crazy. But anyways,
I
they're
don't
calling it Train to New York, so they're literally
I don't think it would
Americanizing it.
work. I don't think it would work because all our
No,
infrastructure is trash, so the train would break after 10 minutes. Bam, can't make a movie.
there's not even a train that goes anywhere. Like, what the hell are they talking about? Of course, it has to be Train to New York. I don't know where the
There's
hell it's coming
trains.
from.
Yeah, there's trains all over the East Coast.
Not really. Like people don't really take it though. Well, the East Coast, yeah, but I mean, like if it's a train to New York, or like where the hell are they coming from? Another place in New York,
I
you
mean,
know?
you can argue that premise with Train to Busan. Where's it coming from?
But I feel like they have a better
Yeah, 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 yeah.
train system there,
Oh, they are.
or like transit. Like we don't have that here. Like
No, we
America's
don't.
designed to
That's why I was
drive
joking.
everywhere.
Like, you can't even make that movie. The trains we do have break after 10 minutes. So, listeners out there, our trains suck.
That's basically what you're supposed to take away from this. Is
Yeah,
that
they
our
didn't
infrastructure
used to
sucks.
because we have so many train museums. It apparently worked in past decades, so, but not anymore.
Well, I find it interesting that like they made it such a big part of history to be like, well, we have a train system now. We were able
The
to travel faster.
transcontinental.
Yeah, and you know why? We don't use it. Who uses it? Like we use it like there's cargo trains, I think is the ones that use it the most. I mean, people
Yeah.
do use Amtrak and stuff like that, but other than that, we don't have anything outside of these long distance ones, like LA would benefit from that hardcore. Technically, LA has these things, but no one uses it, or like it's
Yeah.
not built properly or whatever it is. LA needs a refurbish, anyways, in general.
Revamp.
Yeah, totally.
But they're trying to make an Americanized version, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they are. It was supposed to come out 2023, but they have since removed it from the release schedule. I can't remember. I know Warner Brothers is attached to it as like the distributor. I don't know who's actually making it,
Mm.
but they took it off for some reason, which I'm just like, just let it, just leave it. Just leave it. Like
It was great.
that sequel that I was talking about, the standalone sequel came out in 2020. I mean, that was only 2 years ago. Just like we have it,
Don't
you
fix
know?
it if it ain't broke.
Yeah, and I also think that like Korean stuff is becoming more popular, especially I feel like Squid Game, you know, and like K-pop, like BTS, like
Yeah.
they and Blackpink, like those are like the two main ones I would say of American culture.
And Parasite. Parasite had a big, I feel like got a big cult following out here.
Parasite was the first movie, foreign film movie to win Movie of the Year at the Oscars. That's
Oh, that's
why.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think that's what made it popular, though. You know, like it finally got nominated, like a foreign film got nominated for Picture of the Year, and then
Yeah.
people started paying attention to it. You know, I don't think it had a following before then for
Yeah.
us, for Americans.
Oh, okay. So you know what I just thought of? Like, I was getting all grumpy, like, why do we gotta do American version of it? And you know what I realized? Like, remember when we were all obsessed with, still, some of us still are, like Japanese horror? And like, The Grudge came out, and I believe The Ring was too, originally Japanese. But there were a lot of
That's
horror
true.
films that
Yeah.
we remade that actually ended up working. So I'm gonna take back my initial anger, my
I'll be right there with
initial
you.
aversion. And you know, this actually, it could be something because sometimes movies, like horror movies, like will do better if it's in a context that you understand better.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's true.
maybe it should be Train to Brooklyn or something, or Train to, no, poor Brooklyn. I feel like they go through everything. Train to Upper East Side. Starring Blake Lively and Leighton Meester reprising their roles. But
Bring
this
them
time,
back.
something
Bring them
goes
back.
wrong.
But I was watching and doing some research for this movie, the Train to Busan movie, and there isn't a lot, and I'm not sure if that's just because like we're in America and it's a Korean film, so like there aren't a lot of resources for me to look up. Like just a simple Google search
Yeah,
wouldn't do a
yeah.
lot, you know. And so I ended up going on YouTube because I always try to watch interviews. So I think that's where you get like the most information, like directly from the director or the actors or whatever the heck, you know. And so I try to look those up, but there aren't any American ones really. There's a
Oh,
lot. They're all Korean, and I've never seen a Korean interview before, and their their culture is so fun. I'm like,
what is
why do
it
we suck
like?
here? It's very like fast paced. Like there's a lot of pops, and it just seems like it's more fun. I don't know how to explain it. Like there's a lot of like weird, like
Oh,
quirky sounds.
like they have like a lot of effects,
Yeah,
sound
yeah.
effects and visual effects. Okay, I know what
Yeah,
you're
but
talking
these are
about.
just like they're like the talk shows there, you know, like they're just like boop 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 boop. And here we just have like talk shows and they do like funny like bits type of thing like
Yeah.
during the interview. But like this is like literally like popping and they like point out interesting things.
Oh,
One of the main talking points, actually, one of the points I saw on IMDb as like a trivia thing is the girlfriend of the baseball guy
oh.
is she was in a K-pop band, and I was just like, well, that's not the biggest deal because I feel like a lot of people go into K-pop. So I was like, another one, you know.
Good for
But
her.
in this interview, they were talking about the K-pop band, and everyone, all the rest of the actors were like super excited about it. And so apparently it's a more popular K-pop band called Wonder Girls, but it was like a 2008 type of band, and she was like obviously younger in it, and it's very like Hannah Montana vibes in terms of their outfits and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so it's very fun. I listened to some of the music yesterday, and it was
Giving
very
tween vibes.
yeah, it's exactly tween vibes, but with like the jeans and the tutus over it, or like the skirts, like
Oh
that type.
God. So
Yeah.
she probably would have gone ads at limited too.
But she was like, oh yeah, we keep in contact still, because like apparently they've been broken up for like 10 years or something at that point. So she's like, oh yeah, we keep in contact, and everyone's just like, oh my god, really? And she's like, yeah, they're gonna come to the premiere, and everyone's like, oh my god.
Just
So that's a fun
fangirling.
fact for the K-pop people out there.
Wow. You hear that, listeners? That's for you.
And our famous director from Scott Pilgrim, Edgar Wright, liked this movie, and he tweeted about it and said it's the best zombie movie that he's seen in a long time, which is funny because he did Shaun of the Dead.
Wow. And you know, that was a goodie too. But
That was a good one.
I really like this because I felt like it wasn't lazy zombie writing. Like I don't know if I've talked to you about this, but my least favorite like scapegoats for horror are like usually zombies and aliens. I hate when they're just like, oh, it was aliens. Oh, it was the zombies. Like I feel like that ends up being the thing. But this one was so well done. It didn't feel like it was an excuse. It actually felt like the zombies were essential to the storyline, not just the fear factor, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that's what all the actors were saying, that like the zombies are the main cast, you
Yeah.
know? Like they made it very well known that the zombies were so good. Like all the actors who played the zombies
Even
were
the
like
deer at the beginning.
they were so twitchy, and like it's kind of always hit or miss with like computer generated things, and like there was only like a few parts in here that you could tell it was like completely computer generated, but it was so well done that it didn't look disgusting,
Yeah.
like it was so well done. And I thought the costumes were really good, the acting was really good at the end when the daughter, and oh, by the way, I just want to talk real quick about how like the dad just throws himself at the end of the train. Oh, that was so sad.
Redemption scene.
That guy was so irritating too. The guy, the
The
COO guy.
businessman. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, he was so irritating. He just kept killing everyone. He's like, me first, me first. But yeah, it's to kind of go with what our main guy would have been if he continued out
Exactly.
through it. And then so I think that was a very good contrast, where you could see that our guy still has humanity, like he's still able to
Yes.
change and stuff like that. Speaking of changing, he turned into a zombie.
Oh.
You get it. But when
I
he
like
threw
it. I
himself at
like
the
it.
end, and like the little
Change.
girl is such a good actor too. She like her crying over the dad. I was heartbroken, and the pregnant wife that lost her husband, and
Oh.
like how she was just like stunned that our main guy got bitten, and
Mm.
she knew that he was gonna have to go, and he's over there like, this is how you stop the train, like she's like realizing, and you can see all of this in the acting, and it's insane that she realizes that it's just her and the girl now, like they're gonna be on their own. And that's heart-wrenching in itself. And then at the very end, when they finally make it to like that barricade of
Mm-hmm.
Busan, and all of the zombies, I think they were infected. One of them kind of twitched like an infected, which I'm surprised because they never showed a way of killing the zombies either. Like they were just beating them off and fending them off, but none of them actually died. You
Oh,
know?
but there were times where you see bodies around, so you know they're capable of dying.
Yeah, which was interesting to me. So, but they never went into it either,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so I was curious about that. If like maybe it's fire or something,
It'll
because
tell
like
you
those
at the
people were on
beginning of
fire.
Peninsula.
Hopefully, but the military is set up there, and they're just like, oh, we have some people coming. We don't know if they're infected or not, and the people are just like, just shoot them, because if you don't know, we can't let them into the city or
Yeah.
whatever the heck, because it's quarantined. And the sniper is like very slowly starting to go over to the trigger to kill the pregnant wife,
Hmm.
and they start hearing singing, luckily, of the little kid that at the very beginning of the film she was doing for her dad. Like the dad missed the recital of her singing this, and then so
That's right.
the grandma showed the dad how she did at the recital, and she couldn't do it. Like she stopped singing, and everyone was kind of making fun of her and everything. And then the daughter was talking to the dad and was just like, I couldn't sing it because I recited it like just for you, or like I rehearsed it just for you. And he realizes in that moment that he's like an asshole. He's just like,
Hmm.
he realizes
I should
that
have been there.
that she still loves him, like 110% loves him still, like she wants to be a part of his life and all of these things. She's not choosing to not be with him, she's not
Yeah.
over it. Well, she's a little kid still. She doesn't know necessarily either, but it's just like you can tell that she just loves him still, and it's sad for her that he's not there, and he's just like, I should have been. And but that also goes into how like that big burlier guy was talking about how the dads get all the crap because they're just so busy working all the time, and they don't realize that, like, the kids don't realize that the dads are doing it for the kids too, to
Yeah.
like have a better life. So it kind of makes him into it's having him realize more and more that like it's better to be there for the child than actually like pay for things for the child, like as we see with the Wii as well, where like she doesn't really care either, she's just like, oh, I already have this, but she's not even playing it or anything. Like she's not dismissive of it. She's just like, oh, you don't even care enough to give me a different present.
Like, she's appreciative, but, like, I have that already.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was gonna say, like, you could just tell, like, she, for me, was, like, the biggest contrast to the zombies because she had the most humanity. Like, even when shit hits the fan, like, she offered the old lady her seat. And, like, when the dad talked to her, like, you gotta think of ourselves. She was like, I think of all the times like grandma's niece would hurt, and like you see her always going back to like just her human connection, and that's just what she craves most. And like it's really sad that the movie ends the way it does. You find out like the dad's connection to it all, and it's just kind of like, oh, like I'm so sorry, like, but his humanity ended up saving her and the woman in the end. So like that was his gift.
I think that's a good thing in terms of, as you see in the characters, that there's like the extreme COO guy. Yeah. And then there's the extreme child where it's just like an ass versus someone who's nice, who is genuine, who is loving, a
thoughtful human being.
A thoughtful person, exactly. And the dad sees both things, and he's the middleman of these, so it's kind of like evil devil shoulder and then like the angel shoulder, I think. And so it was a nice contrast of all character development for sure. But I wanted to end on the note of how the daughter was singing, and she was able to sing that whole song at the end, even though she's crying, but like she was able to sing it all, and the song was even alluding to like, we're gonna see each other again. This isn't the end, basically. It's sad, but it shows that there's still hope, I guess, like for humanity to survive and everything like that. And like there's kind of always a silver lining. Like this one's kind of crap, obviously, but like she still sees it in a way where we are going to be together again. It's not the end officially.
Wow, that's beautiful, man. All right, when are we starting our therapy podcast?
I don't know. Next week, probably. The sooner the better.
Well, we can't, because next week we'll be talking about 1408 and the Blair Witch Project. Yes, so we can't. I'm sorry. I know. I am so... There's such different movies too. Like, it's kind of funny. One takes place in a room and the other takes place in like a vast forest. Like they're just so different just in that sense. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, me too.
Continue Halloween horror.
Yes, dun, dun, dun. And you guys better watch it. You included.
Yeah, everybody Jade, watch it with us. What? What
you
did
better
I
watch
do?
it. Watch both of them.
Okay. Not just one? Okay. All right, well, that's it. We'll be back next week. Peace, everybody.
Peace. You can listen to new episodes of Okay But This Movie every Monday at 8 a.m. on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Anchor.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter so you can stay updated. Later, Gators.
It's Billy.